The clock has just turned 4 hours and 30 minutes here at the Boylston Street finish line of the 117th Boston Marathon. And hi everybody, Tony Revis along with Rock and Roll Marathon Elite Athlete Coordinator Matt Turnbull. RunCenter, day 4 at the 2013 Boston Marathon. Matt, great day of racing, thousands of people still streaming across this finish line. And let's begin with the women's competition. Great, well-matched field, and sometimes when you have a very well-matched field, you get an interesting competition, but you don't get a fast day. And I think that's what happened out there. The weather was a little bit sharp today, and it sort of affected the way they raced.
Yeah, we talked about it being perfect on the start line. There was no wind, and then suddenly within, I don't know, maybe 10K of the race, the wind picked up, and yeah, the time started off slow. I mean, those two Japanese ladies took it out to start with, and everybody else just waited and watched.
You had Yolanda Caballero from Colombia, who led much of the first hour and 30 minutes of this race before Ana Dolce Felix from Portugal took off at the hills, and she made the move, and it looked like she was going for the win.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was her tactic. It was slow, it played into her hands to go and do that, and she tried to steal the race. But the real class in the field was right behind her. She gave it a great go, and, fair play to her.
I think Rita Jeptu didn't want to answer the call. Sharon Sharp, our defending champion, said, let's go, let's move. Rita said, I want to wait, and they almost let it get away, but once they start rolling, especially Rita Jeptu, it was no nonsense.
Yeah, no, it was a great spectacle to watch. I mean, I was beginning to think they might have left it too late, because at one point the gap was getting bigger, not smaller, and then as you say, once to start rolling, it was always going to come down to Boylston between those three.
Yeah, and how about Shalane Flanagan? A lot of pressure on her as a local girl. Grew up in the North Shore up in Marblehead, Massachusetts, but I think she likes the pressure. She responds well to it, but when the big moves started, she just didn't have it.
Yeah, I mean, I think she did everything right, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, knowing what she's like, she might have wanted to push early on and go with Felix, but she knew that the winners were going to come out the pack she was racing in, and she decided to stay with that race and just didn't quite have enough when she made the turn on Boylston, which is a shame for her, but nonetheless a great effort, and she can be very proud of what she did today.
Absolutely, and they came across the line in this fashion. First place, Rita Jeptu from Kenya, 2:26.25, with her second win 7 years after her first victory. Second place, Meseret Hailu from Ethiopia. Third place, defending champion Sharon Sharp from Kenya. Shalane Flanagan, top American in fourth place. And fifth place, Turfi Sege, also Ethiopia, 2:28.09.
The fans want you to win it just as much as you do, which is so rare. I mean, usually you want it more than other people do. I could feel it. They wanted it for me. They wanted Kara or I to just bring it home. I mean, the fans were insane. They were so supportive, and so I'm bummed because I wanted to do it for everyone, and I wanted to be that person.
I don't know about next year, but you'll see me back. I mean, I got to win this thing. So Shalane or I someone from the United States has to win it. It doesn't have to be either of us, but the more times we come and try, the more likely it is that it'll happen. So I will definitely be back.
Yeah, this course is very, very, very hard, but for like me, I know this course because this is 4 times to come to Boston Marathon, so I know all the course. I know hill, I know down, I know flat. So this is, for me, is I want to be ready and to run good. So this is my point, and today I ran good and I'm happy.
Let's turn to the men's competition, and Matt, it turned out very much like the women's race. The women had 4 leaders who were not among the favorites until 1 hour and 30 minutes. On the men's side, there were 3. 2 Americans, Fernando Cabada and Jason Hartman, who was 4th last year, joined by Canadian Rob Watson, who was an Olympian and a 2:15 man. But I'm thinking that the Africans on this sort of chilly day with a little bit of a headwind weren't taking them seriously, and then they couldn't find a lead dog.
I think that's exactly right, Tony. Watching the race unfold, that's 2 or 3 people you'd think might take it on, actually didn't take the race on.
They realized very quickly, okay, a finishing time was out the window. I don't want to be the man that becomes the de facto pace setter for everybody else. So they held and held and held. But once again, like the women, when they finally got ripping, they let it all out on the line.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And there's 1 or 2 others I thought were going to take it on. I think Marcus Giannetti led for a little while as well, and maybe Dixon Chumba tried to take it out. But in all honesty, it was those 3 guys, and they were watching each other. And as you say, very like the women's race, it came down to a fast finish down the finishing home straight.
But they really did come to the three fastest 10,000 meter men out there. Lalisa DeCisa, who won the competition here, only a second marathon. He's a 27:06 man from last year on the track. But Mika Kogo at 26:35 is the sixth fastest man in history. And I believe Gebre Marion's a 26:48 guy. So the real speed on the track came to the fore, and that really is what this marathon business has turned into. It's a speed game now, not an endurance one.
Absolutely. I mean, especially in a tactical race like this. I mean, I was expecting those three to figure. I didn't think we'd get the winner we did, especially after his high-quality performance in Dubai just 12 weeks ago. I didn't think he would have it in his legs, but maybe the pace did play into his hands, and he's obviously got the finishing speed to win Boston.
Jason Hartman for the second year in a row in fourth place. Last year in a brutal heat, so some people could discount that because of the conditions, and you couldn't really count on it, maybe a fluke. Not a fluke in opposite conditions, and he still did a lot of the early front running and still had the strength at the end to come in fourth place. Hats off.
Absolutely. As you say, back-to-back fourth at one of the toughest marathon courses in the world is testament to Jason, and he's training hard up in Colorado, and I think he's still without a shoe sponsor, so I'm sure that didn't do himself any harm today, because it's a world-class performance back-to-back here in Boston.
How finishing top American 2 years in a row, how's that feel?
I'm very happy, I can't complain.
You took it out pretty fast at the start.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that fast. I mean, it wasn't like we were running 450 pace. I was just in a good rhythm, and, I was just trying to run my own race.
One last little note. Joan Benoit Samuelson, the two-time champion, 79 and 83. She ran a world record back in 1983 at 2:22:43. Her goal today was to run only 30 minutes slower than her 83 victory. She finishes in 2:50:29, finishes in 47th place, and sets another age group world record. She's just a phenomenal, phenomenal athlete.
And an inspiration to everybody, young and old, and kids, and every charity runner. Just have to look at it. Wonderful performance.
All right. Well, thanks, Matt. And just a reminder, everyone, for all the information having to do with the Boston Marathon 2013, go to Competitor.com. You'll get all the information you'll ever want to know. Right now, for Matt Turnbull, Tony Revis, thanks for joining us on RunCenter at the 2013 Boston Marathon. We'll see you next time down the roads.